everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, my name is Carly.
I'm Kim.
And today we're going to be sharing our first thoughts on the brand new title, Operation Barclay from Salt and Pepper Games. Operation Barclay is a brand new title that's going to be coming, I believe, to Kickstarter. I think it's one of the crowdfunding platforms. And this game is a 2-player only game. I'm going to need to grab my laptop to help with the theme in this one.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
get it. Okay, so I'm just going to read it directly from, from
go
this
for
here.
it.
In July of 1943, the Allies are invading Sicily. The Axis power has been deceived. They still believe the main attack in the Mediterranean is yet to come. To reach the situation, since early 1943, Allied military intelligence has created a complex web of disinformation to confuse the Axis power and convince them that black is white and white is black.
The Abwehr is trying to find out where the
There you
LCS primary operative sites are. So there's like 2 sites that the Abwehr is going to be like searching for and trying to find out. And if they're able to find and make that like without a doubt know which like location is it, then they win the game. And if they
have to get
go
it by
through
the
the
end
6
of the 6
months,
months.
and they don't find it, then the London side wins.
So the way that the Abwehr player is able to uncover these spots on the board and figure out where the primary and the secondary location is by winning poker hands or winning sets of hands. So every player, both of the players have cards in their hands, and they will be taking turns, starting with the Abwehr player, playing cards into kind of like a tableau in front of them. And like just like that, perfect. And then once 5 cards have been placed, then the winner of that hand gets to win these little tokens that are down here at the bottom of the board. Those tokens then indicate what tiles the Abwehr player are able to flip over, and then he's able to kind of deduct at that point what he thinks certain locations might be. This is primarily a bluffing game and also a deduction game. The London player is trying to kind of keep their sights hidden, while the Abwehr player is trying to figure out where the primary and their secondary kind of locations are on this map in front of us. So normally when we do these type of videos, we kind of get together immediately after or as soon after as playing the game for the first time as we possibly can to share our thoughts.
Yep.
This time, however, Kim's only played it once. I've actually played it a handful more times because after our first time playing, I was like, I think I need to play this a handful more times.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did because I realized I was playing something incorrectly.
Wrong. Yeah.
I realized I was playing it wrong. So, kind of going into this is technically our first thoughts, but I have played it a handful more times than Kim, and we finally have the rules down correctly. So I was actually playing correctly the last couple times I've played this game. Can you come to me? Are you going crazy? Okay, so we are gonna go ahead and kind of just jump into our thoughts on Operation Barclay. This game surprised me. I really liked the way that the cards worked and that you were trying to get, poker hands. You were trying to get like straights and flushes and all those hands of cards in order to basically win. I keep wanting to call it a trick, but it's not a trick. It's a hand, right? You're trying to win the hand.
Yeah.
That's what it's called in poker.
Yeah, this isn't trick taking. It's
not-
it reminds me a little bit more of like rummy or
Yeah,
poker,
like rummy. I really liked how the cards operated. Did you do the same way?
I did. And actually, like upon like reading about it being like a 2-player game, Germany versus or like the Abwehr versus the LCS, I was like, okay, it doesn't really sound like my kind of thing. But as soon as I realized that we had like cards and we were trying to like get like sets and possible runs and like trying to, that like made it so much more interesting and exciting for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll play that game because I enjoy I enjoy trick taking games. I enjoy like the kind of card set collection games. Like I enjoy a good game of rummy. And so that was like, that made it much more interesting, like, and for me to like actually dive in and to play it with Carly. I mean, I was gonna play with her regardless, but like
sometimes
once
it's more enjoyable than others.
like upon reading the initial like what it was, I was like, I don't know if I'll like it. But then when we were actually reading through the rules and like sitting down together, then I was like, oh, I think I will end up liking it. And I did.
Something that I really loved is the way that some of the cards were multicolored and multi-numbered.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was almost kind of acted like a wild card.
Yes.
It really made it really interesting
find one.
when you were collecting cards, trying to get those wilds, because they really helped you so much when you were able to collect
So,
those.
like, not only do they have 5, 6, 7, so you can choose which number there's going to be, but it can also be any of the colors.
Any of the suits.
Yeah.
Yes. Loved that addition
So
to
that,
the
like,
game.
definitely, yeah, like, because your hand is limited to only 4 cards, so you feel, like, super limited. Like, am I ever going to be able to, like, actually get the 5 cards on the table that I want, like, with only having 4 cards in my hand at a time? And it definitely felt a little bit frustrating to, like, but it also, you had, because of that, like, it balances well out with cards like this.
Lots of cards gave you abilities to kind of peek at the deck and rearrange the cards and be able to pull certain cards that you needed. So that was the very first time that we played. We both walked away and were like, I really want I wish we could hold 5 cards, because it felt a little bit limiting. But the more that I've actually dived into this and played this game, I do think that it is actually a really good balance of the cards in your hand. Jesse, look at him, he's so mad at you.
Sorry.
Just don't eat my hair. But yes, after playing this game a handful more times, I do think it's actually a really good balance with the deck. And I think that the specific cards that you have, especially in your personal deck, give you a little bit more ability to try to switch things up and be able to pull the correct cards that you need to.
Yeah, like this one allows you to draw 2 cards from like the
either,
shared deck and then or the discard pile, and then like you can look at one and then keep one and put the other back.
Yeah, and there's lots of cards like that which really kind of help with that limited hand size.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts in this game, though, is that even though you are primarily trying to win, right? You're trying to win the hand. You're not out if you don't win.
Right.
Because after both players lay 3 cards down, then everybody takes a pause and you have to place bets on who you think is going to win.
Have like the better hand.
Who has the better hand that round.
Like if I have 4 of the same number and then Carly looks like she might only have like 2 of the same number, then I would guess that I'm going to have the better hand.
Yep.
And I'm going to like vote for myself.
That was my favorite part of the game, because there were times, again, I mentioned at the beginning that this is a bluffing game. So there were times where I laid 3 cards out, kind of thinking or trying to get Kim to think that I had a really good hand, right?
Yeah.
When really I knew that I'm not going to win this. I'm not going to win this round. So I laid ones out thinking, trying to get Kim to vote on me. Meanwhile, I know that I'm not going to win, so I'm going to vote on Kim. And because I win, let's pretend all that worked out, and I won the bet. Then I get the majority of the chips down there, preventing you from collecting those. You right?
Yep.
So that was my favorite mechanism, because it made it feel like I don't have to win every single one in order to win. Technically, as long as I just keep getting the bet right, then I am still collecting a decent amount of the chips down there. So I never really felt like I was out, even if I had a bad hand.
Yeah. If you felt like, man, I'm really not getting any of the cards, then you could also like choose to focus on airplanes and boats.
Yeah.
So it has these little icons in your hand, and that would win you the last one, whoever has the most of that.
Yes.
So that was just, you don't feel like it's completely helpless if you have like a terrible hand.
I also feel like the length of the game was the perfect right amount, because you have to be strategic. As both players, you really have to be very strategic.
Yeah.
And if you're not, that end game really creeps up on you. But if you are being strategic, I really don't think this is a game that you can win, in the first round or in the second round. I feel like it does kind of come down to those last few rounds, and you have to be very efficient in making sure that you're winning the correct ones that you need to. And I also feel like it didn't go long, where it's like, if we have a whole nother round, of course he's going to win. You know what I mean? I feel like it was the perfect amount of rounds.
I played as the LCS, so I didn't want Carly to guess where I was at, but it did create a nice little bit of suspense, like when she'd like flip something over and it was one of the green ones, then I'm like, but,
oh crap.
But is it one of my non-operative sites, or is it like part of the main operative site, and is she going to keep flipping it, like, so there was this nice like kind of element of like mild fun suspense.
Yes.
Like,
I also really liked how there were individual decks that you could pull from.
Yes.
And how when it runs out, then it's out. So it kind of makes it a little bit more like, yes, I could pull from there, but I also don't want to pull all my cards from there right at the beginning of the game.
Right.
Because then I'm just stuck dealing with the shared deck. I also liked how the cards that you use are then discarded from the rest of the game.
Yep.
Because you're kind of, again, another thing you have to manage. You can kind of look through, see what cards have already kind of come out. I don't know, I just really liked the card play in the game.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought that was, a nice, like, extra touch or well thought out thing that they considered in the game design, because there's, like, this double cross deck where, like, all of these cards could end up being put, because some of your cards allow you to, like, put cards into the double cross pile, and then you have your individual discard, and some of your cards allow you to search through your discard at some point. And then, like, the joint, and then each of us have our own. So that was just, like, a nice, and more like a little interesting aspect that was added that wasn't like, oh, just draw from the same deck over and over and over again, you know?
And I like how so many cards referred to all of the different decks. And so there were times where you would discard or pull from a certain deck or peek at the cards from a certain deck even. So you're like, okay, I know the order, and I'm just hoping that Kim doesn't pull her next cards from this deck because I know that the card on top is one that I need. And if you really want to get strategic about it, if Kim does pull from that deck, then it's like, okay, I know that that number is in her hand. Like, combined with the fact of like the cards that she's already laid out, could she use that card to make her hand better than mine? And these acrylic tiles,
they're really nice.
We were obsessed. There were many times where we just like stopped to feel them because they felt so. They could have just been cardboard.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're acrylic made them feel
they're nice.
extra nice.
And they look nice on the board.
Yes.
And they feel nice. And I don't know why things like this. It's so simple.
Nice, yeah.
But it's just like, yes.
So I played this with Jordan, and I just was surprised at how much he liked it and enjoyed it. Really, really, well, he likes poker, like hands and stuff, and managing cards.
I think this is like going to be a really good, solid 2-player game, like especially if you primarily only play games with 2 people.
Well, I'm always on the look for 2-player like games. That's primarily what we play, whether it's with my husband, with my daughter, with Kim. 2 is definitely like where we are primarily playing.
And I mean, I think there's a lot more 2-player games out there now, but sometimes it still feels like it's hard to find ones that like click with like each person, you know, and also don't feel like mean or like like where you're not just like because this isn't like you're full like on attacking each other. You're not going head to head.
Yeah, it's just more bluffing. The bluffing aspect I just love in this game, trying to play down cards in such a way making you think the other person, you know, or trying to make the other person think that you have a good hand or a bad hand, or trying to secretly get away with a good hand. I just love that aspect of this.
Yeah.
All right, so those were our first thoughts on Operation Barclay from Salt and Pepper Games. I'll make sure to link to the crowdfunding. If they have a pre-launch page, I'll make sure to link that down in the description below for this game. Becca!
You hungry?
You're so hungry. We'll feed you. We're almost done. Huge shout out to Salt and Pepper Games for sending us this copy of the game so that we could share our first thoughts with you today. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.